podcast, and I like the brainy piece.
Well, good. I like you. Brains, welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney. It's a few little outtakes from the green room. We're laughing and cutting it up like Ginsu knives here on the edge. Place where the conversation is pointed. The guests are sharp and the responses are never dull. I got Tara Paonessa. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did, and
I
yes, you
did.
have. You
Ding,
did
ding,
it.
ding. Where's my little bell? I got a little bell. Brains, I'm telling you, I grew up dyslexic, and it's just a different learning disability. So sometimes if I stumble on something, give me points for effort. And that's what we want to do. We want you to connect. We want you to gather all of your senses. Did you know that there's really 10, according to Tara, that, six, that's overrated. We need to grab hold, grapple, and try to understand this. Okay, got a lot of questions. So let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Tara?
Oh, hello, my lovely April. Hello, brains. I am really, really well tonight, this morning, this afternoon, depending on your time zone.
I know. Well, this is going to be interesting. All right, so I gave a brief introduction, but I probably did not do you justice because there's a lot more things that you do. You're very layered. There's a lot of textures, a lot of energy going on, a lot of clarity, but just a sincerity. It's something about you, your voice inflection, that it exudes a certain comfort. So I watched a few of your videos and I was intrigued. Bray, she's in the UK. Okay. She's not here in the US. So you can have to deal with her virtually if you're not here in the US. But anyway, we want to talk about this and I want to try to connect it to what's going on in the world as far as 5G and AI. All of that in alignment. We're trying to find some synchronicity because folks are scared and they're crazy. Everything is AI now, even if it's not, it's a new buzzword. So let's
Yeah.
get into that and a whole lot more. How are you, Tara?
I'm really well, April. I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for asking. How are you?
I can't complain about nothing.
Good.
Nothing.
Gratitude.
That's a good thing.
Gratitude.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell us how you show up in the world, Queen.
How do I show up in the world? I show up with intuition, with mystical magic. I show up with potions and lotions and cacao. I show up sometimes as being a hot mess. I show up as authentic. I just show up as me. That's how I show up. But
Wow.
mostly I show up as just being somebody who's really passionate about the connection between intuition and the animal kingdom. That's how I really love showing up.
Okay. So how did that happen? What? Let me ask you, what are your spirit animals? What animals do you connect with the most?
Oh, so I connect with mostly my spirit guide is a she-wolf, and she comes into meditation with me every single morning. She imparts her wisdom, her guidance, her knowledge. She gives me messages. The two of us are channeling a book at the moment, which is about the animal's perspective of the human race, which is off the charts.
Wow.
Really interesting to see. We spend so much time observing what do we think about animals. Look at this animal, how it's behaving, what's it eating, what's it doing. But we don't sit from the animal's perspective and look at back at ourselves and look at the human race and go, well, I wonder what they would make of us. And equally, what is it that we can learn as human beings, as mammals, from them?
That's some heavy duty stuff. That's some secret sauce brains. I never really thought about how an animal thought of me. I've always been good to the earth, and the earth has been good to me.
Mm.
Two of my spirit animals, one is an owl,
Oh,
and the other one
beautiful.
is an elephant. And those were given to me by a Native American shaman in Yosemite. And I can just see how that has just carried me through. Okay,
Yeah.
so you woke up one day and you found yourself in Lilliput. Among all the animals, a little fairy fluttering around, free spirited. This is what it is. And you landed in this space.
Well, I kind of didn't wake up one day. I have to say, when I was 6 or 7 years old, I used to go and run around the woods and talk to the animals. You know how we have imaginary friends?
Oh,
So
wow.
I had lots of imaginary friends. And then I think the really interesting point was like childhood was fairly difficult, and mid-teens I shut down, and in 20s and my 30s I got depression and all that jazz. And so actually, whilst I knew I had this crazy gift, this incredible intuition, I really knew how to connect. What restricted me from actually just getting on and doing it 30 years ago, because I'm plus 50 now, but what stopped me from getting on and doing it was like, they're all just going to think I'm crazy. They're just going to think I'm cuckoo.
Mm.
And so when I started waking up to it, it was about 3 years ago. I literally had this. I have got to know right now what is my purpose here on planet Earth.
Mm.
What is etched in my soul? What is going to make my life worth living? How am I in service? Like, and it was urgent. It was demanding. It was like just this voice inside of me that was just saying, I've spent the last 50 years wondering why I'm here. Well, do you know what? It's time to roll my sleeves up and get on and answer that question. Because that's what was going to make me happy, April. That's the secret sauce.
Okay. So you did the deep dive and you
Oh yeah.
came up with animals.
I
Are
did.
you like are you a modern day Dr. Doolittle or Ms. Doolittle?
I'm not, no,
How do you connect with them?
one of my closest friends, Sarah, is she's a proper modern day Dr. Dolittle. How do I connect with them? So if we were sitting having a cup of tea in my back garden,
Mhm.
and if Butterfly came and visited us, I'd be like, oh, there's Butterfly. She's got strong wings, hasn't she? How's the strength of your wings doing right now, April? How do you feel about where you're going to land? Did you know that butterflies, they don't fly in the rain. They'll take rest. Isn't that a beautiful analogy? What could we learn from her? Oh, when it gets stormy, let's just take a time out.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's how it shows up for me, that when the animal comes in front of me, when it shows itself to me, I don't just think, oh, well, it's just something in my garden. I go, oh, it's presented itself to me. What is there here for me to learn today?
What is the most exotic animal you've been introduced to?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. I want to say rhinoceros, but I don't think that's very exotic.
Yeah,
Um,
that is. Rhinos can be very dangerous.
they can, but they are so ancient, and my goodness, they're wise. Like so incredibly wise with their wisdom. And an emperor, and I had a, oh, this is going to really make me sound crazy and we're being recorded, but I'm just going to say it as it is. I had a penguin dance on my kitchen table for 3 weeks. It was going, look at me, look at me, look at me. And this is in the stage whereabouts I was denying what my gifts are. I was going, yeah, I'm making this up. This isn't right. I need to get back to an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. Like, I'm not really
I
imagining
need
that.
to collect more data on this. I'm like off the
Exactly.
charts. I'm off the charts.
Exactly.
I
Give
feel you.
me give me the left hand brain, not the right hand brains. Exactly, exactly. But I just every time I walked into my kitchen, I got this sense that there was a penguin in there. And it was very exotic. And it started talking to me about astral travel and
Mm.
being able to go into the future and project and visualize backwards where you are now if you're manifesting and go visit people. You don't have to limit your connection with people around the world by being with them. You can just connect in through meditation. You can connect in energetically. We're all connected. We're
Right.
connected to the animals. So I don't know how exotic they both are, but they both blew me away.
Well, I've had a couple of experiences with some cotton picking animals.
Have you? Tell me what
And
they are.
all right, so I was in Australia. Oh, you just love the koalas and you love the kangaroos and you see the little Joey swing and it's overrated brains. Couldn't feed it. Grabbed a little stance with me. You know, it was ready. Yeah, it got a little aggressive and it was nerve wracking. But in the same token, now I'm about to go in a couple weeks to Thailand and I'm going to visit with the elephants. So the elephant is one of my spirit animals. I'm excited about that. But I learned a very valuable lesson, and I'm really trying to incorporate this even more now with my husband from the silverback gorillas. I had an opportunity to visit with them behind the scenes here at the San Diego Zoo. And let me tell you, it blew my wig back, baby. Yes, it did. Their skin was just majestic, and his
Mm.
eyes were just like, I don't know, like coral. They were just clean and bright, and the roar and the beating of his chest. Girl, he was so masculine. I just absolutely adored it. And I realized that it was a vegetarian. And I realized it's the strongest, some of the most strongest, if not all the strongest animals are vegetarians. The cow, the zebra, the lion, elephants, tigers. They don't, they don't eat carcass. They don't eat meat. So I looked at him and I looked in his eyes and I said, there's something about the strength of these animals. And it took me to a different place. So yeah, I've had some
Mm.
experience with them too, and I've read their intuition and their signs. So that's very, very good. But you've taken it to the next level. You're doing something about 10 senses.
I
Break that down for
do.
us. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, look, listen, so when you're with an animal like you were at the zoo and you see the color of the eyes and the shininess of the skin, and hopefully that's because they're being fed exactly what their gut is designed to eat. We have our first five senses that we all know about. We have our sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. But animals take it to the next level. So if we think about how do birds fly in formation when they're migrating, or how do lions in their pack go out hunting, or whatever it is, how is it that they communicate to each other? How is it that they know when to mate? When do they, like, how do they just operate with this intuition? And the sixth sense is actually, whilst we call it intuition, the sixth sense in the animal kingdom, from what I notice, is just sensory observation. So maybe for our listeners, they might have a dog or a cat or some animals that they can associate with that just sit in the back garden and they're not doing much. They don't look like they're doing much. They're just like, my dogs just sit in the back garden. But actually, those first five senses are telling. I have a long-haired German Shepherd, one of them. He is magnificent. And he sits on the bank. He can tell which direction the wind's coming in. He can smell which season it is. He can tell actually, is the weather going to change, because he's looking at the clouds, he's noticing the wind going through the leaves, he's smelling the season. It's in it, what they do is with their sensory observation is they're getting a proper here and now, right now. We talk about being in the present moment when we meditate. Animals sit in the present moment and they observe the factual situation based on those five senses. They'll even taste what's on the wind. Like if I start cooking, my dog knows if it's for him or not, and he'll come in because he can smell it and taste it. Oh, sausages, she might be for me. And they make their decisions based on these first five senses. But the sixth sense is the really crucial one where they just sit in what I call neutral. And it's really easy to teach that as well, by the way. Like it's a very easy state to get into. And then the seventh sense I notice is their heart. And so they make decisions based on what's coming up for them. Like, so I talk about the wolf pack a lot because I really love wolves. But I was in the Arctic once with a pack of wolves. And you can tell the emotion that's going on with the wolf and the decision that the wolf will make based on how it's feeling. And then I'll briefly touch on and then the next sense is the pineal gland, which is also thought to be the third eye. The next sense is the gut, and then the 10th sense we get to being intuition, innate knowing. And then there are other senses above and beyond that which aren't actually available to most human beings, like infrared sensing and all that kind of jazz. But we predominantly have these 10 senses, and they look after them. I mean, if your gorilla was out in the wild, he would absolutely keep his energy clean by making sure he's eating the right food. If he doesn't feel well, he'll go and find the plants that soothe him. Um, Dogs will shake themselves off to change their energy up, and you see ducks on their pond and they're flapping. Animals are just constantly shifting their energy so they can stay in the present moment, so that they can make decisions, so that they can be safe, so that they can survive.
Well,
Absolutely fascinating.
I'm a party animal.
That's a good animal to be,
So
April.
I keep it 100, and that's a lot in a container. Okay, so practical application. How would that apply to me knowing what you know?
Okay. So you're sat at your desk and you're wondering what your next business project might be. You look at your diary, you've got a limited amount, or you've got an extensive amount of resource, but you've got a limited amount of time with what you with the things that you're already working on. And you're like, I've got these three projects. Which one is it that I choose to do next?
Mhm.
So you click yourself into neutral, you get sensory observing, you make sure that your heart's really clean, that your head, prefrontal cortex, has to stay out of the equation. Animals do not use this to make, I'm pointing at my prefrontal cortex brains, but they do not use this to make decisions because they don't have one. They don't have the same brain structure as we do. So you get yourself into neutral, you really settle yourself down, you connect through your senses. You'd have had a really good night's sleep last night because you follow your circadian rhythm. You'll be
Right.
feeling really good with gut instinct because you look after your gut and you're eating the right food. And then you would look at the three or four projects in front of you, you would connect into your intuition, and you'd be like, oh, that's easy. I know exactly what I need to do next.
Mm, mm, mm. Well, I'm telling you, you got to refire a lot. People, you got to show up and do the work. You know,
Mm.
Tara can tell you, the recipe for success, but you got to whip up the batter. You got to put it in the fry, bake it, and make it rise. That's your responsibility to yourself. A lot of times people don't, they don't go this deep. And this is different, Brain. This is not your normal conversation. I don't like
It's
to have
not.
I don't like to have normal on my podcast. You could get that mainstream. I like to have exotic, organic ways of thinking. We're moving
Mm.
into AI at a rapid pace. It's just like they don't know what the hell they're doing. They just putting stuff out there, and you gotta be careful. But somebody's gonna come along and they're gonna edit and filter. You know, where do you see these two parallels? Where do you see the animal kingdom giving us wisdom? They've always given us ancient wisdom, like the wolf, uh,
Mm.
like the elephant, like the fish. They tell us stories, and that's how we live our life and communicate is in stories, in pictures,
Mm.
in images.
Mm.
How do you
Mm.
see this intertwining? I think it's a hot damn mess right now.
I would I would really agree with you. And I think for me, I mean, I teach intuition. I teach people to practice connecting into themselves and find their own story, their own words, their own truth. And that is the absolute opposite to AI. Now, look, I'm not saying that AI isn't a good thing. If you jump onto Chat GPT and say, hey, I want, here's a newsletter I've written, and could you give me some extra bullet points? I'm sure it can fill in the gaps for you. But what it
But don't
does,
don't no don't underestimate it.
but it
Because
takes
you
out
can have no, you can have no, it takes out the human interaction you think. But the
it.
more you pour into it, because I've got into it and had a conversation, honey, and
Yeah,
it's mind blowing.
it is completely mind blowing. Do you know, I was on the phone yesterday with a friend over in the States, actually, in your neck of the woods, and she was saying that she's been working on a program, a 12-month program, and she's been using Chat GPT to develop it. And I said to it, so it's brilliant. It's given you the structure, it's given you the wording, it's given the language, because it's really has got to know her. But like, at what point do you say, and now my soul needs to go into it? I need to put my soul into this piece of work and sense check that this is what's etched on my heart and this is my work to do.
But that's what's important now. That's not going to be important 15 minutes. I mean, 15
No,
years from now,
no.
20 years from now, we'll be
So
back in time because I'm talking to, Generation Alpha. Girl, they are on a whole nother thing. You know,
they are,
the frequency is different completely. And
they
teaching
are,
them, and a lot of people resist it. They want to fight against the machine, and you can't do it, brains. It's moving right along. Everything must evolve. We are in the fifth dimension. We are 5D, brains. You got to get uh you got to get in line, or you're going to get left behind. And so what you want to think is outside of the box. Now, we talked about the animals, we talked about intuition. Do you believe in aliens?
absolutely.
I do too.
Absolutely. I mean, if I think about my past lives, I definitely was in Palladian,
Wow.
without doubt. And when you talk about people who you know that have been to Atlantis without a shadow of a doubt with their information, like if you think about the past lives and you have a belief in that, then isn't that extraterrestrial?
do believe so. I do believe
Mm.
so. Now, do people think sometimes that you're five sheets to the wind because you are exotic and you're different? I mean, I don't really, I can't, I'm not trying to put it in a box, but I can't really define what it is that you do. It's coaching, it's metaphysical, it's philosophical, it's um, zoological,
Mm.
zoology. It's a combination of all of these secret sauces. How would you define yourself? I
I
know you don't
just
want to put
when
yourself in a box.
No, but when people ask me what is it that I do, I just say my soul's purpose is to teach intuition.
Okay,
That is
define your interpretation of intuition.
innate knowing, having absolutely an undisputable innate knowing about a piece of information that's my truth. So, no, so intuition is about having a sense. Like my husband always laughs. He's so funny because he's like, I'll say to him, yeah, you better go and open the gate because I think the delivery driver is going to be here in the next 20 minutes. And he's like, but we haven't got anything on order. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just telling you, go open the gate up, hon. And he'll come back in 20 minutes later and go, and here we go. We have a package. Now, that could just be me knowing patterns and picking up information and using my brain to be able to predict what's coming next. But there is also an innate knowing. I live literally on the edge of the woods here. And my favorite thing is to stand in the woods, barefoot, feet on the ground, ground myself. Where are the animals? Is deer out today? Are there any muntjacs? And I connect in with the woods because I want to know where the animals are so I can go and meditate and go and visit with them.
Mm.
Um, so it's just having that innate knowing. And people will say, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Oh, I just knew it. I told you that was going to happen. And they might not have known how that was going to happen or when that was going to happen. But you just go, well, I just knew that I had to do this thing or that was going to happen. Or that's intuition. That's your gut sense. Your gut.
That can be good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, it's just a thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Well,
It's,
no, it's more than a thing. Sometimes it's a reaction. It's a way of life.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think sometimes it's a temporary condition, like trauma, for example, with people. It
Yeah.
happens. They learn to live with it. I don't
Mm,
think they ever get over it because, again, it's a part of the fiber of who they are. In the animal kingdom, it's, top of the food chain. I was talking to my husband about that the other day, about food, period. And I said, all of these beautiful animals are vegetarians and our bodies weren't designed to eat, as we talked about these certain things, but it messes with your mind. Uh, they have a sense of pride, they have a sense of loyalty. I don't know if we would ever be able to relate 110% on that level because we are cannibals, you know, carnivores. We're just eating each other up. I
mm.
don't get it. If you were an appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be?
Oh my gosh. What appliance would I be? Okay, this is posh. I'm just going to warn you now. This is really posh, but I would be a sous vide. I would be a water bath. Have you ever heard of those?
No.
They're amazing. It's transformed my cooking. So
Mm,
it's a rectangular tub and you pour water into it and it will hold the temperature within a point of a degree. So I can, cook one thing at 57 degrees, or I can cook something else at 72 degrees. So all your food always comes out completely perfect.
mm.
But the reason that I would choose that is it's that thing in the kitchen that's really underrated. Nobody really talks about it. Nobody really uses it. We put something in, we take something out, but it just sits there with this absolute elite knowing I'm the best bit of kit in this kitchen because
Wow.
every time I deliver with precision. A lot of restaurants use it to cook fish and meat
Okay.
in and stuff. I would definitely be a sous vide. Yeah, that's a crazy question.
I've gotta look at that. I gotta Google that. See if they have
Oh,
one on
brilliant.
Amazon. I've never seen that before.
They're
If you were
amazing.
a flower in the garden, what flower would you be?
Oh, English rose every time. And let me explain why. So for me, the rose is the most perfect form because when it opens up and you look at the petals, it's the Fibonacci series. So most things, everything in nature is based on mathematics.
Right.
And this is what I love about what I do because it's science with spirituality. It's the two combined. It's not just spiritual, it's not just science, it's kind of the two combined. So the beautiful rose has a gorgeous sense, phenomenal colors, and it also has the demonstration of the Fibonacci sequence in its rose petals, which I think is just beautiful.
Well, let me tell you, you just learned something, Brains. I didn't know that. If you had chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry ice cream, which one would you choose?
I have to choose. Okay. I think it would be Italian chocolate gelato.
She went fancy on me. She jumped to gelato. Forget the ice cream. Okay, perfect. I love
Well,
that.
it's Italian ice cream. I love chocolate
I,
ice cream. Like, oh, I love chocolate. I mean, I drink cacao every morning, which is 100% chocolate. So I am a chocolate girl.
well, it didn't sell on my stomach very well.
No, okay.
No.
Which would you choose?
Um, me, strawberry.
Yeah.
I just
Oh,
something right in the middle. I don't like it vanilla. That's too plain. And then,
okay.
chocolate, I like it, but I don't like dark chocolate so much. If
Okay.
you had three wishes, anything whimsical, philosophical, what would they be? Three of them.
Okay. Three wishes. Number one, I would wish that all mankind would view the gifts of what we can learn from the animal kingdom. Like if everybody could see what, and everybody can see what I see, everybody can feel what I feel. My absolute wish would be that just their switch gets flicked on. That would be amazing. Number two, um, okay, I'd like to go in a spaceship. I
Hmm.
think that would be really, really cool. If I had a wish, I'd like to go up into space and kind of like look at the Earth and look at Moon and go around the
Oh, and
galaxies and
cozy up to that Tesla. What's his name? Why he's
exactly.
going, and then Virgin Airlines. I mean, yeah, Virgin's CEO.
Yeah,
Can't
yeah, Richard Branson.
remember Richard
Yeah.
Branson. And you know what he loves? Entrepreneurs. Girl, I put my name in. That's doable. Okay, and what would be your third?
What would be the third magical wish? This is such a good question. I would just actually quite simply like to go and live in the Arctic with the wolves, um, and have a really fulfilled life. I just think that's all like, yeah, that's probably quite a boring answer, isn't it? Really, by
No,
comparison to
it's
jumping on a
real
rocket. But
because two of those
I
are
would just
obtainable.
Yeah, I would really, yeah, that would be my wish. My wish would be just to go and sit amongst the walls, have a very abundant, fulfilled life, share my wisdom. Um, and maybe I just need to go and sit in the wish fulfilled a little bit more often and for that one to come true, because that would be really cool.
Well, it would be good, and I believe all dreams come true. Um, you can't do anything without a thought. You gotta
No,
have the idea.
that's so true.
And if you can think it, I believe you can achieve it. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you, Tara, to work with you and understand more. Have you written a book? You'd be great as an audio book on this.
I have two on the go at the moment.
That you have to take people from cradle to grave to
Mhm.
understand, and then how you mirror that and pour that into your own life with practical application. And how do you share
Yeah.
that? So all of that would be great in an audio book. I'll look forward to it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, well, it'll be out at the end of this year. The first one is about channeled from She Wolf, and she's just talking about the 10 senses and how to tap into that innate knowing, that intuition and her wisdom. It's beautiful. I'm reading it for about the fifth time, and it's still a lot to take in. It's a little bit like Neil Donald Walsh and Conversations with God when you have something channeled. But if people would like to follow me so they know when it comes out, my website is tarapaonessa.com. So that's TaraPaonessa. That's tarapaonessa.com. I'm on Instagram as Tara underscore Paonessa. I'm on Facebook. I am on TikTok. TikTok freaks me out a little bit, I have to say, but I am on TikTok.
People love it, and that's good. And
I
then
know, I know.
just You know,
Thank you.
and rage
Yeah.
against the machine. This has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for raising my frequency and opening me to a new channel of wisdom and understanding and appreciation for animals as I see them, be it the cat across the street or the butterfly in the air. Can't find my card,
Well,
but you know where you are, brains. Here on the edge. I gotta tell you, right here. Go ahead, love, like, share, and subscribe. Okay, check out Tara's website, all the information, follow her on social media. I have all of her contact information at the back of this interview. Love, like, share, and subscribe. You promise? You're going to love, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, Tara. Come back and visit me again on the edge.
I'd love to. It's been a pleasure, April. Have a great trip.